If your plant is an obligated entity under India's new carbon credit trading scheme, then there is one document that ensures your compliance here goes smoothly, and it is not your emissions report. It is the monitoring plan. Your GHG emissions report can only include what this plan says you will measure and how you will measure it. And the deadline is hard. The Bureau of Energy Efficiency requires submission of this monitoring plan within 3 months of the trajectory period starting, with an annual update every compliance year after that. In the next 10 minutes, I will walk you through the official guidance and the template that has come from the Bureau of Energy Efficiency and how your plant teams can tackle it. Let's go. A monitoring plan is not only your emissions data, it's the documented method behind the data. Section 5.6 of the Bureau of Energy Efficiency's detailed procedure spells out what it must contain: every activity, emission source, and source stream at your plant, a diagram of metering and sampling points, the methodology for activity data and emission factors, written procedures for data flow, sampling, testing, and calibration, named responsibilities, and every measurement instrument with its range, uncertainty, and location. One sentence here to understand is your verifier is not auditing against the best practices. It is only ensuring that you are following what the monitoring plan says. The entire template runs on one data hierarchy. Learn this and every sheet makes sense. Activity, emission source, source stream, and measurement. An activity is what the plant does, say A1, combustion of fossil fuel. An emission source is the equipment where it happens, ES1, like your CPP boiler. A source stream is the fuel or material going in, SS1, Indian coal. And the measurement is how you quantify it, PM1, the weighbridge on belt 1. Every item gets a code, A1, ES1, SS1, PM1, and those codes cross-reference each other across the sheets. The template is a relational database wearing the costume of an Excel sheet. Mistake number 1 happens right here, a source stream pointing to an emission source that does not exist. One broken reference and the entire plan stops reconciling. The workbook is about 20 sheets and the navigation page links to all of them. Here are 3 things to do before entering any data. Is the compliance tracker, a 30-item checklist mapping every BEE requirement to its sheet with a responsible person column. Fill the names in on day 1. This is not a sustainability team document. It needs instrumentation, the lab, production, and finance. Second is the version history. Every submission and every revision gets a row. Keep every version. Your verifier will ask which one BEE has approved. Third, entity details. Registration ID, your plant head and energy manager as named signatories. Trajectory period, baseline year, your ACVA, your GEI target, and your calculation methodology. Crucially, select your sector here first. Every drop-down in the rest of the workbook only populates after you do. And note the renewable energy claim drop-down, because the template says it in the cell itself. REC purchase alone does not qualify as zero emission electricity. Remember that, it's coming back. Sheet B1 is the most consequential sheet. It draws the fence around what counts. Inside the fence, the template pre-lists around 21 standard activities: boilers, process heaters, calcination, captive power, DG sets, purchased grid electricity, PPAs in imported steam. For each, you mark whether it applies, name the real equipment like boiler 1, kiln 2, and tag the emission category. Outside the fence, 13 standard exclusions, each with a defined treatment. The big ones are employee townships, fully excluded. Scope 3 logistics and product use is out of scope. Exported CPP power is deducted. Only internal consumption counts. Biomass is excluded from your GEI,
but reported separately as biogenic. And here it is. REC's bounce off the fence. Buying renewable energy certificates does not make your grid power zero emission under the CCTS. You apply the full CEA grid factor. Only on-site generation, open access, PPAs or green tariff qualify. This is the single most common wrong assumption that I hear.
One more rule on this sheet: any changes in the boundary conditions needs a notification from the Bureau of Energy Efficiency before you implement them.
3 sheets carry your actual monitoring story. Sheet C has your production and raw materials. Every product and major input, which instrument measures it, weigh bridge or weigh feeder, its location, range, uncertainty, calibration frequency, plus a written procedure for opening and closing stock, because annual consumption is purchases adjusted for stock change, not what you bought. Sheet D has your direct emissions, your scope 1. For every source stream, the instrument, continuous or batch metering, and calibration. Then the decision that shapes your whole year, type 1 or type 2 emission factors. Type 1 means BEE defaults. Type 2 means your own measured values, and it unlocks a full evidence trail. Testing standards like IS 1350 for solid fuels, sampling plans, analysis frequency, and your lab's NABL status. Sheet E is the indirect emissions or scope 2. Purchased electricity, imported steam, chilled water. You describe how the total plant consumption bifurcates into sections through dedicated feeders, then inventory, every import-export meter, accuracy class, calibration frequency, and a master reference meter. Each one is checked against. Part C is where BEE checks whether your numbers come from a system or a spreadsheet heroic. Sheet H documents your data flow, meter to logger to ERP to report, with controls at each step, including the 4I principle. Whoever collects the data never checks it alone. When a bad reading enters the stream, the checkpoint catches it and sends it back to source. Sheet I is the SOP register, 13 mandatory procedures from fuel sampling and NCV determination to calibration and report preparation, each with an owner and approval status. Good news, if you run ISO 50001 or 14001, you already have most of these. The work is mapping them to CCTS clauses, not writing from scratch. Sheet J is the plant's internal self-check signed by the plant head, and Sheet K mirrors exactly how BEE and your ACVA will review you. Run K against yourself first.
Finding your own gaps only costs a meeting, but letting your verifier find those gaps costs an entire cycle. So the monitoring plan is not only a document that you need to submit, but it is a contract that defines it. If you're working on your first submissions, drop your questions in the comment section and I will try to answer. In the next video, I will also be covering type 1 and type 2 emission factors. Subscribe so you don't miss it.